And welcome to the post-game show. I'm the Coach Dick Cox, joined by Carlos Smith. Carlos, the Cardiac Panthers are now 2-0, have found a way in the fourth quarter. 2 straight weeks to get it done, have 2 one-point victories here. What are your thoughts on tonight's ball game?
They started out a little rough, with Benjamin going down. They're still having a hard time figuring out who the number 1 receiver will be and the number 2 receiver right now. They're still trying to get that chemistry going right now for Cam. But, the second half, the guys put it together, and the backup guys, they did a real good job tonight. It's hard to really tell in the preseason what those guys can do, but, some of the guys, they picked it up in the second half, doing stuff that the starters couldn't really get together. But, overall, I saw some things they need to work on, but also it's still early, so I think they can turn around.
Again, we talked about this too. Anderson comes off the bench, really has played well. Joe Webb come in and played well too, though, but I kind of like it the way that some of these reserve guys, which are going to give the Panthers some depth this year, have come in. They've been hungry. These guys know they're fighting for a job. Again, there are so many positions up for grabs just to make this 53-man roster, though. But I like the way these guys are fighting down to the end. Funny story tonight. We got in the elevator coming down with about 2 minutes to go in the game like we normally would, thinking the game was over. The Panthers ended up coming back and actually tying the game. We were getting ready to leave again. We come down leading the second time. We're leading, and by the time we get down, they have scored with a chance to tie it or to go for the win, which they did, though. So this crowd right here, you can't leave early. We're finding that out.
Yeah, crazy ending to the game. We thought it was pretty much over with, but those guys found a way to put together a drive, and then they got the 2-point conversion, so we had to go back and catch the game. And then it was all of a sudden the defensive lineman, he got an interception, and he got it down there for the running back to put it in the end zone again for him. So it was a crazy end to the game. It was a quick swing, but I'm glad that the Panthers won the game.
And I know, and they did not make an issue of this, but I know for a fact, because I did ask Cam this question though, I know it's hard to line up and practice against a team for 2 straight days and then come out and play, because you don't really game plan for these. So the plays that you ran against them in Spartanburg, they jumped. They intercepted one of Cam's passes. They jumped those plays because they've seen them in Spartanburg for 2 days before they came over here.
Yeah, it's hard when you practice with the guys and then you come out here and play against them. And then, being short with a lot of guys because of injuries, that throws another curveball into it on top of all of that. So going against those guys, so they pretty much know what you're going to do. And then when you get down to the goal line, you're trying to punch it in, and they pretty much already know what's going to happen. So it's kind of hard, but it's one of those things. Even though they know what you're going to do, you still got to try to find a way to score. So hopefully the red zone is one of the key things they need to work on. And hopefully when they get back to practice, they'll figure something out.
I do agree with Cam on the 4th down play that he did not score on. Had this been a regular season game, Cam would have scored. He'd have laid out a little bit more than he did, but I'm glad to see that he's matured enough to realize in an exhibition game, you don't take a chance of stretching, putting your head down, doing things like that in a game like this to try to score the touchdown. But I fully agree with him what he was saying. If this had been a regular game, he would have been in the end zone.
Yeah, it's no need. Preseason game, it's always good to win, but at the end, these games mean nothing. They just get you ready for the regular season. So there's no need to risk an injury. Even though you got a really good backup quarterback, you still paying a guy a lot of money, $100 million man right now. You don't want to see him go down for anything. So Cam made a smart call by not risking it all. So I'm glad he didn't get hurt. So let's see what happens next.
Anybody tonight catch your eye? Maybe somebody who stepped up. I've got one in mind tonight. I thought stepped up and really played well. And if I were coaching this team, he'd have gotten my eye. Anybody you got?
Oh, I like Bird. Bird did a really good job. He made some good plays. The other running back, Ben Weaker, he did a really good job as well. He's finding ways to get him in the end zone. And Joe Webb, again, putting together another game-winning drive. And this guy plays so many different positions that I really hope he can make the team, because he's very valuable at quarterback, receiver, and also on special teams. So I would say Joe Webb, because he does a really good job for him.
Joe Webb, again, a jack of all trades, played on special teams. I saw him one time on the kickoff team, punt return team. He said he got in on a tackle too, though, but has done a good job as your 3rd quarterback. He will be a valuable tool that they can use. A guy trying to make a 53-man roster, he's assured of that in my book right there, because he can do so many things. But I think a guy who caught my attention tonight was Boykin. He came in with the second group. He had a instant chemistry with Anderson, made some good catches, and I would have, if I were coaching the Carolina Panthers, he'd have moved up my depth chart tonight, because there were some guys. Philly Brown had several drops tonight on well-thrown balls by Cam early that could have been big plays for him too, though. But Boykin is a guy in Green Bay, when they had some receivers go down with season-ending injuries, stepped up and helped the Green Bay Packers. I think he may be a guy who can fill that role here once he picks up the system and all. But he's a guy who caught my eye tonight.
Yeah, I think he did a really good job as well. Like you said, as soon as him and Anderson got into the game, they moved straight down the field and finally got the Panthers on the board. You know, Brown, the ball hit him dead in his chest, and he dropped it, bursting. You know, he's still trying to get together with him as well. But I really like Boykin, like you said. I believe he should move up the chart, maybe second, third string, because they definitely don't have a guaranteed #1 receiver now that Benjamin is out. So I can really see him moving up the depth chart.
Not a good week from the Panthers from the standpoint of injuries. They lost another player tonight, Frank Alexander, with a torn Achilles tendon tonight. And it was kind of a strange play. And early in the game, it looked like he just kind of stepped back and twisted his ankle. But that's going to be one of their defensive ends they've lost.
Yeah, and there's something really scary with the Achilles injury. They say it's something that you never really know. It just goes, and it's like a freakish injury, something that takes a lot of time to get back. I wish them the best of luck. You know, you hate to see these things happen to these players, and with all these injuries on the defensive line, it's going to really put a lot of pressure on the linebackers as well, because these guys, it's going to be really tough, because these guys need the guys up front to keep them so they can make the tackles. So the defensive line, they just got to, it's hard to stay healthy, but you know, it's a game of football, and those are risks you take.
And again, the thing you got to like too is the Panthers played tonight's game without 3 starting defensive linemen. They didn't play, Johnson did not play, they did not play Starr, they did not play Short though. And the guys who played, I thought they did, still did a pretty good job defensively tonight though. But again, playing some of these other guys who are stepping up playing well now is only going to make this team stronger. And that's what I feel like this team is going to have an ability of doing, is that they are going to have depth this year where they can play players, whereas they did not have that last year.
Yeah, like you said, with injuries, you hate to see it happen, but also it can be a blessing in disguise for these other guys that are the backup guys, because it gives them more reps and gives a lot more experience. So when the season comes, these guys are ready to go. So I like the opportunity that comes with it for the other guys, and I believe they'll get it done and keep working hard, because they got 2 more preseason games left to figure out what they want to do with the starting lineup.
We're halfway through the exhibition season. Can't remember when or even if the Panthers have ever been 2-0 at this point. And again, being 2-0 in games that don't count really don't mean a lot though. But we talked with Cam Newton about, I asked him about, I said, what does it mean for your team to be able to come back and win 2 games? Again, this is exhibition, doesn't count though. But he talked about building that find a way to win mentality here, about teams not giving up and all like that though. And I think that's got to be important. Even though it is exhibition, you beat a good Buffalo team last week, and you beat what you think is going to be a good Miami team.
I do. I like Miami. I think this is the team that'll probably give the New England Patriots the toughest time, because they got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and then you get into Ndamukong Suh on the defensive side is one of the best defensive tackles in football. I think they'll give them a tough challenge, and as you can see, when the Warrens went head-to-head tonight, they kind of really gave the Panthers a run for the money, gave them a really hard time, and a lot of turnovers and sloppy play. But Miami is a really good team, so I believe they'll really shock a lot of people this year. But for the Panthers, they just got to get back to work and figure out the key position, which is they need to figure out a #1 receiver, and also get some help on the defensive line.
Next week, I guess the Panthers, is this the AFC Southeast? Who is it? They're playing the division. They got Buffalo, Miami. Next week, they got New England. I believe they're going through that whole division right now. Maybe if they can win next week, we need to go on and give them that AFC division title right there for knocking those teams off. But they have got the defending world champions coming to Bank of America Stadium. Unfortunately, me and you have got the Broome Centurions and the Woodruff Wolverines, but we will be represented next week here at the game, though. But that's going to be a really good test for them next week too.
Oh, it will. It's anytime you're playing against the defending champions, you always got to go in with the mindset, even though it's a preseason game, you want to still knock them off, just to have that vote of confidence for the whole team. the backup guys have been doing a really good job. So, you know, if they get down, maybe they have another miraculous run at the end of the game to come through. But, you know, it'll be they'll have a pretty much a nice turnout next week, and I believe those guys will be ready, and they'll get up for the defending champions.
Well, the Miami Dolphins are probably going to be happy to go back to Miami. They've spent half the week in South Carolina / North Carolina for this game. I'm sure they'll be glad to go back to sunny South Dade in Miami. I'm sure the Carolina Panthers are going to be happy to go back to practicing on their own and not seeing Miami around here, though. But I think this has probably been good. I know it's exciting. You had the opportunity of seeing the crowds in Spartanburg. Tell a little bit about what you saw out there for when the Miami Dolphins came to Spartanburg.
Oh, I saw a great turnout. It was so many people, from the Carolina Panthers fans to the Miami Dolphins fans. You really got a great mixture. They said Dan Marino was there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see him, but you just saw both teams competing hard. You know, they're going at it in practice. You know, that heat, it gets to you, but those guys, everybody competed. The fans came out and supported both teams, and it was just a really great turnout, and overall, it was just a great experience.
All right, my last question for you is this. This is your first chance of getting on the field at Bank of America Stadium. You worked here last year as a part of an internship there, working in the stands and all. Tell me your thoughts of the whole experience tonight, being in the press box, all the food up there, coming in the locker room, feeling all. What's your thoughts?
Oh, it's a great experience. You know, last year I didn't get a chance to have that one-on-one interaction with the players. We just helped fans find the seats or scan tickets. So this year, coming in and sitting in the booth, and the food that they feed you and the stats and everything they give you is awesome. I really love it. I enjoy it, and getting a chance to interview the players in the locker room and hearing what Coach has to say. It's fun, and just meeting everybody here in the media. It's an overall great experience.
And again, we got to ride the elevator up and down a couple of times thinking the game was over and having to go back to our seat and all. But I think that's the first time I've had to do that.
Absolutely. You know, it's never over till the clock hit zero in the fourth quarter. You never know what's going to happen, no matter if it's 1 minute left or 5 minutes left. Anything can happen, so it's always exciting football.
And I have a special announcement for all of the squirrels in Spartanburg. I had a chance to catch up with Josh Norman after the game, the squirrel hunter, and he has passed the squirrel stick on to someone else, and he said squirrels can go back out of their houses now. They are safe, that he is gone now, and he is left with the squirrel stick.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad he finally gave up the stick, but, you know, I like Josh Norman. Wish him the best of luck. He's a really good cornerback. And just happy to see him play good.
And we had fun picking at him, telling him he wasn't going to get to live that one down with the squirrel. So every time I see him, I go, squirrel! So we have some fun with Josh on that one, though. So it's a happy night here in Bank of America Stadium. The Panthers defeat the Miami Dolphins by the score of 31-30. Next up is the team from up north, the New England Patriots.
The world champions coming to town. Got to get up for them regardless of what. No matter what, just got to get ready for them, because they're pretty sure they're going to be ready to play when they get here.
Carlos and I will be at Royal Stadium next week for a big game, a rivalry game, as the Woodruff Wolverines come to the Broome Centurions. Tune in on Cox Sports Broadcasting for all the action. Until then, have a good week, everybody. He's Carlos Smith. I'm the coach, Dick Cox. Good night from Charlotte.
Good night, everybody.